Hi everybody, this is Em from DIY. I know this seems kind of early, but New Year's is very close, so I just wanted to do a quick New Year's video so you guys can prepare. I know you're probably wrapping up all your Christmas stuff at this point in time, I'm hoping, and then preparing for New Year's. So I thought that this would be a really good video to do a cool letter sign, in case you've never done that before. I personally never done that before. I bought this punch a long time ago, so I figured it'd be kind of cool to do a Happy New Year sign, but you can do this for any time of year. You can do Happy Birthday stuff, obviously Merry Christmas, that sort of thing. There's all sorts of different cool phrases you can make with this. But yeah, I'm really excited to do this because I have had this in my stash for so long. As you can see, it's kind of yellowing with age. I've literally had this for years. And this is actually already kind of old and on the shelf in the art store that I used to work at for quite a while. I think I got this with my employee discount, so it was a little bit cheaper for me, luckily. There is a mini version of this that I've noticed online. Like, there's obviously this big version, which is kind of expensive, I know, but then there's also a mini version in case you want to make mini letters. It's great for scrapbooking and stuff like that as well, but you can also make mini banners and things. So what I want to try to do is actually make a word banner with this, which I've never done before. Never opened this up. I'm so excited to finally open this up. A little scared too, to be honest, because I find fonts really hard and intimidating, but I feel like this might be fairly easy and straightforward once I figure out how to use it. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that, and then I'm going to open it up in the next little bit and show you the tutorial. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go over the packaging really quickly before I open it, just so you guys can check this out a little bit more. So there's the alphabet punch board. It says quickly create any letter or number. Okay, so this is kind of like a corner punch area. As far as I know, this is supposed to cut out these shapes specifically, right? So you can do that here too, I think. And then this part right here, I'm gonna open this up as I told you, but this part here I think is the blade that cuts between here so that you can say cut things a little bit more accurately. So yeah, I'm gonna open this up. I think there's a booklet as far as I know inside, but I just want to show you the back of this as well. So this is from American Crafts. We are memory keepers. I'm not sponsored by these guys at all, by the way, just so you guys know. I worked in an art store and I ended up accumulating a lot of fun stuff. So it looks like it's showing here how to make different letters. I think you can make them with different styles. Sorry, there's a cop car. You can make letters, you can make numbers, so that's kind of cool. And if you want to, I guess you can make the year if you're doing a New Year's banner like I am. I don't think I'm going to do this, but you can make the year, so I think that's really cool. But anyways, I'm going to open this up and see if I can find a book inside. I don't want to destroy the box too much, so I'm going to see if I can put things back in this box if I wanted to easily. It's just easier to sit it on my shelf in my box. So let's see if that helps. Okay, oh yeah, there's the booklet. So we're gonna look through that in just a second. And here's the punch board. So okay, so now it's just these two things here. So yeah, it's aged with time. Hopefully everything's okay, I think everything's okay. This houses the blade here. Yeah, so I think you're supposed to get, so it's supposed to be a 3" by 5" cardstock piece that you can put inside here. So it has to be apparently fairly perfect in order for things to pretty much line up. So I'm going to try to make a bunch of these out of a cardstock material that I really like. I was watching some tutorial videos on this earlier. Somebody said that index cards are actually a really good 3 by 5 thing to test out and practice on. So you can totally do that. I don't have any, unfortunately, on hand, so I'm going to have to just make my own 3 by 5" thing. Yeah, so it just shows you how to do each letter. Somebody was also saying, I'm going to link the video for this down below because this was a pretty quick video. They just did an A, but there's an app that you can go check out, I think, or a website that you can go check out, and I'm going to link that down below as well, just in case you lost this book and don't know what the lettering is and how to do it. Each page has a different letter that you can do, so that's really cool. Oh, and there we go. It shows all the numbers too. So that's amazing. So it shouldn't be too bad, I think, to make this. But yeah, you can make things in different ways. You can have this kind of, see, there's this kind of look if you want to say that on the end of some of the letters, right? It almost looks like a dovetail but like a different version, almost like a curved dovetail thing. So you can totally do that if you want to as well. I personally don't want to make my letters look like that, but you can. You have the ability to do that by putting things in this way, I think. So I think it lines things up this way. So this is nice, a nice big curve. for when you're doing, say, round parts of the letters. Okay, so I'm really excited to try this out. So I'm gonna grab some cardstock, cut them up 5" by 3", and then I'm gonna test this out and try to spell Happy New Year for you guys. Okay, so I cut out about 16 3x5 things of cardstock. So I did some fun hollow cardstock. You can find this kind of cardstock almost anywhere, and I've shown people how to make something holographic. I've shown people how to do the cold laminations for holographic paper. I have a playlist, so it's gonna be down in my description if you guys want to check that out. These are just cardstock that I bought a while ago. As I said, you can get these almost anywhere. These are fairly standard holographic sheets. They're very popular, and they have almost like a snow holographic thing going on. I got this a while ago. I used this Sizzix Opulent cardstock pack, and it has this really beautiful glitter ombre thing going on here, as you can probably see here, right? So it's beautiful, this right here. Yeah, so this is the glitter ombre, this is the glitter holographic, so it's pink and white, kind of like that, and has a bit of a snow holographic thing happening too. And this is a white iridescent, so similar snow thing happening. And then this was the one that I used, the holographic one, and then there's a mirror holographic one as well, which I also like. But I really wanted to try doing something that was more neutral and festive, I guess, at the same time. So, you know me, I love my holo stuff. So I figured this would be kind of perfect for New Year's and really fun. So I got that. I got about 16 of those. There's only 12 letters in the words Happy New Year, if that's what you're doing. So what I like to do is plan things out a little bit. So obviously I want to know how many letters I've got so I can cut out that many or maybe more of the cardstock like I did, right? And then I want to see how many of each letter there is in the sentence or the word that you're doing. So you just have one H, two A's, two P's, two Y's, there and there, one N, two E's, so there and here, one W, and then one R. Okay, so that hopefully will help you guys out. Sorry about my chicken scratch handwriting, guys. It's not the best. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that the math mathed, right? And added up. So I made sure that this matched the 12 letters, and it seemed to be accurate. I have a whole bunch of corner punches. I'll link the video down below for that. I might use my corner punches to just round just some of the edges here, just to make these rounder letters. I enjoy that. I think it's going to be a little more fun for me. So I have some extras just in case I screw this up straight off the bat. Anyways, I'm going to do H as my first letter. So the H should be fairly straightforward as far as I can see. I've got a rock collection, so this should work out pretty nicely, I think, to weigh things down slightly. Okay, cool. So this may not be completely accurate, but I just wanted to show you guys, just because this is on a bit of an angle now. Whoops, can I do this without it buckling too much? I don't know, probably not. But anyways, so the first thing you have to do is you gotta line it up here, just like it's doing here, and then you punch it. That was hard to do sitting down. And then I think you just turn it, and then again, punch it. And then you come up here, and this thing is supposed to flip up somehow. Let me see. This is my first time doing this, right? So, oh, here, let's do this. Ah, there we go. I think you do that. There's a thing here where it lines up. Bring it down. And then I think you go, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines here. So you just go in, I think that's how you do it. You have to go right in here, and then, oops, I think I went too far. Oh, I think I did. Okay. This is hard to do, guys. It's okay. Whoops. So you just go in that direction. And then I guess you do the same thing here, sort of like that. And like that. I'm not sure if this is right. Did I do it right? Oh, I almost did it right. Not completely right, but anyways, luckily I did a whole bunch more, so maybe I can try that again, but it's almost there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this away, so you kind of saw exactly what to do there, and then I'm just gonna look at it from here so that hopefully it can be a little bit more accurate for me. I'm gonna try to do this again. Let's try this again. So okay, so you put it in here, punch, and then put some pressure on it, punch that, and then you should get this. So let's hope that I can do this better this time around. All right, so I'm gonna take this guy out, put that here. So it says 1/2 inch, and then it says 1 inch across here. Like that, and like that, like that, and like that. Okay, that's a lot better than last time. It might be slightly off just because my trimmer might be a little bit off, but I generally have kind of a letter here. So I'm gonna take my corner punch here and just round the edges of this. Oops. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm just doing this. I know this is kind of like an extra thing, but I just like rounder corners on stuff. That's just me. I just don't like super pointy edges that get kind of busted up and broken. Okay, so I've got this cool H here. Now I'm going to do an A. I'm going to keep these two because I might end up taking these and putting them on here and doing another hole punch situation. You can always hole punch things if you want to string things up with a ribbon or something, but I want to maybe put something like this on the back and hole punch that so I can string that up a little bit easier. You don't have to necessarily do what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to keep those just to do something like that. So how many A's are there? There's 2 A's. So maybe I'll do some of these off screen. So I just want to show you guys how to do just these letters, and you can do the others later if you'd like. So from what I can see, the A, you just take this and go like that, and then you do same thing as you did with the H, kind of go like that. I'm just going to clear out from underneath here this stuff here. Okay, up here I'm going to do kind of what I did with the H, but I'm not going to go all the way. Okay, if you want, you can cut things a little bit better than that. Okay, so this is mostly an A, and then you just sort of stick this in here kind of on this angle to get more of a curve. Oh, I kind of love this punch. It's actually really fun. I'm not a huge font person, but yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so then I'm gonna do this again. Okay, and then I got this cool, it's taking shape, it's taking shape. All right, let's try this again. So I'm gonna do P now. I need to do 2 P's, but I'm just gonna do that off screen. I just wanna make sure that you guys can see all the stuff that I'm doing here. You're probably gonna get the picture after a while, I'm assuming. Okay, so P's a little different. So for P, apparently you can memorize doing this as well. I guess you put that right in the center here. That's fascinating. Okay, so put that in the center there. See, there's 2 lines, so there's 1 and 2. So I think right on the second line, you line that up there, and then you go punch that out. And then it looks like you turn it to the side and then do that. This one's a little more complicated. Then you set this up in here. And then I think you just take off this area here. Take that off like that. Oops, I need to get some scissors because again, this isn't perfect. My trimmer does not make things perfect sometimes when I'm trying to do things. If you can get perfect 3x5s, that's amazing. Okay, and then the second thing you have to, so you do this, and it says you rotate it this way, I guess, to get this part taken off, which makes sense. Do that. Okay, cool. So there's that guy. And then, as far as I can see, you just punch this here, line that up there, punch there. Oh wait, I didn't do that very well. Sorry, my bad. Punch there. Okay, this isn't cutting very nicely, so I'm just gonna do that. So yeah, so there's a little bit of extra trimming that I'm doing just because, again, I wasn't very accurate with my cutting tool. The P is a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be, but it's not too bad actually. I'll do the R later on. So there we go. I got a P here, and then I'm going to do another P in the future, but that's my first P. And then the next thing is a Y. So let's go to the Y section. So this is great for if you're saying happy birthday or something too, not just happy new year. It's nice because you can personalize this and do someone's name, especially for their birthday or something. So that's always good too. So Y. Okay, so I have to do the same thing as before with the P. So I have to line up with this line here. You also have to do this here. Okay, and then you got to cut off this part. Line this up here. Make sure that this little knobby thing is in the other section, I think, as far as I can see. I think you're supposed to be able to cut both ways with this. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then it says that I have to turn it this way. Like that, across, and the same thing with this. I'll go that across. Okay, that's interesting. So this isn't fully lined up here. I think I'm supposed to do this a little differently, but anyways, whatever. I'm just zhuzhing it a little bit. Alright, close enough. And then I think you just punch out all these little areas. So there, and then I think here, so you have to apparently bring this up here like this to do the Y. Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, but we did it. We did it. Okay, just gonna do the corners like I like to do. I like corner punches, as you guys know. So this is perfect for me. Okay, cool. There's a Y. That's cool. So it's a little bit of zhuzhing. I think I was supposed to actually have this on this guy here, but I don't know. Maybe this was a little bit bigger. I don't think this was that much bigger though. So something happened here, but anyways, I think it's a little harder to do. Okay, so now I'm going to try to do an N for new. So it looks like a U, but upside down. Kind of looks like this, apparently. Okay. Like I've been doing. Starting off here. Bring it up here. So yeah, this is probably how to make a U as well. And then come up here. Do that. Okay. Oh. It's almost accurate. Almost. Oh. Yeah, this has to be super duper accurate, guys. This is crazy. Crazy how accurate it has to be, but anyways, it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, it's fun to make your own sort of thing. Whoops. And then of course over here, this is the fastest part for me. Corners. It is kind of tough to cut through the paper, I find. I will say that. I like doing this. It's really fun. But if you're sitting down, it's not as easy to get as much pressure. Anyways, this is an N. I know it looks like a U, but anyways, this is an N. So that's the N. Gotta do E. So E. I'm just gonna line things up this way with the 2 here, and then do a little punch. And then, oh, I have to flip this over. That's interesting too. That makes sense. I have to flip over the paper to do this. Okay, that's good to know. Well, it makes sense though, to do that. Okay, cool. So that should be lined up there. And then I guess I gotta cut these guys off. All right, E is fascinating. I mean, E for DIYM, right? Okay, so there's this. So I think I have to do 1, 2, 3 along here somehow. So we'll see how that goes. And then up here, I gotta do this one. There's one way up here. That's interesting. Okay, cool. So this is doing a pretty good job at accuracy right now. Okay, so do that. And then I have to flip this around. And then cut this guy off, I guess, that way. Yeah, did it. And it wasn't even that difficult to do that one. So that's cool. I'm getting better at this, guys. But I'm gonna do a lot of corner punching here on all these different corners. I like having less sharp corners to deal with. Okay, so there's an E, woohoo, for DIYM. Oh, I have to do a W, which is probably going to be similar to an M, I assume. Check the W out. Yeah, so this W is pretty much the exact same thing as this M. Okay, so that's cool. So this one might be a little bit more involved. We'll see. Oh, what does this say? This is option 1 and option 2 on how to make a W. Oh, I guess you can do it a few different ways. Interesting. Okay. Oh, it says it needs a 5" by 5" sheet. That's fascinating. Yeah, right here it says 5" by 5". Ooh, you have to do that for the M too? Oh, I can do 2 U's and then just tape it. Oh, there's another option here. Okay, so this is showing 2 different options on how to make the M, but also I'm guessing that's how you make the W. You make it in 2 different ways. Okay, I'm just gonna do a couple U's then, but you guys already know how to make the U's, so I'm just gonna do that off screen and then I'll just tape this and I'll show you guys that on screen. Okay, so I'll do that later. So then I'm just gonna do, I'll just do the R and then all these other letters I'm gonna do off screen so I don't have to waste your time. Okay, so let's do this R here. But yeah, if you want to, there's a couple different ways to do the M's or the W's. So if you want to do 5" sheets, I already cut out some stuff. I think I'm going to do that a little differently, but yeah, if you want to do the 5" sheet, you can definitely do that on your own time because I'm not showing you how to do every single letter in the alphabet here, right? I'm just showing you how to do New Year's for this video. So this is going to be similar to the P, I'm assuming, but let's just do this anyways. Okay. Same as, I guess, the P. I just sort of line it up with the second one here, right? And then I just punch it. And then I go, oh, this is actually different. Okay, so then I have to flip this around. So it's kind of like the E in that way, and then punch it like that. Okay, so then that makes sense. Oh, okay, there's gonna be a new step here. Oh, I'm excited actually to do this. So yeah, so this here is really interesting. So I guess you line things up here to make this part, but I'm jumping ahead because I need to cut things off here. So let's just do that before I get too far. Insert this. The thing that I don't like the most is using this blade. I don't know why. I'm not a huge fan of this blade because trying to line it up is kind of hard for me. But anyways, it's getting better over time, but it's still not that easy. Okay, I'm gonna put that on this row here. Okay, that was pretty straightforward and easy. Okay, now I get to actually play with this, so that's kind of cool. You probably get to do this with bees too, which is really fun. Love that. Okay, cool. And then I guess you go down here and then you just round this out. Line this up here and round that out there. Awesome. And then I'm just gonna do my corner punch thing that I like to do. Oops. And then I want to round it out up here too. I mean, you don't have to do this, but I've said this already, but I just want to do that. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest of these letters, including the W. I'm just making two N's or U's or whatever you want to call them, and then sticking them together. Or you can do the other method by getting 5x5 paper. So anyways, that's kind of how you use that to make New Year's. I'm just going to try to get that all done, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I already made the two U's, and then crossing them over. Here, I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. Okay, so you can glue this down if you want to. You can use tape. It recommends using tape right here, this kind of tape, but you can use whatever you'd like. Obviously, you just need to adhere it somehow. So just try to adhere that down. I'm going to try to line it up here at the top as much as I can before I really place it, because this is pretty permanent, sturdy tape. Okay, pretty straightforward, pretty easy. And there's a W for the word new here. I wish that the N was a little bit nicer, but yeah, it's kind of cool. I can make M for DIY M if I wanted to. I think that's pretty cool. Or ew. But yeah, anyways, what I'm gonna do now is, so I've got all these, I've collected all these middle pieces, I guess, when I was cutting things out. So what I might do is cut some holes out of the centers of these with a hole punch. So this is a 1/4 inch hole punch, and you can get whatever size you'd like, obviously. I've got a few different types of hole punches, as you guys have seen probably on my channel too. I'm gonna measure things out probably on the back. Let's just measure how far down I want to do this. Maybe 1/2 inch. So that to me is the center, because I think this is an inch. Yeah, this is an inch long, so that makes sense. So that's the center there. So there we go. That's the center. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch down when I'm doing this. I'm going to try to center this as much as I can. Line that up. So that's right in the center. And then I'm probably going to either glue or tape this along these letters like that. If you want to, you can totally just punch out the letters on the side here and then just string something through, but I just wanted to have something in between, and you can do whatever you want there. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. Okay, so I figured I'd show this too, in case you don't want to measure out every single one of these. You can take this and just put it over top, just line them up, and then if you feel like it's pretty accurate with the middle, and then just try to line it up and just punch that out like that. So it's much faster. You can get a lot more accomplished and done when you do that sort of thing. So I just wanted to show you guys that. And if you run out of these and you need more of them, you can always take some of your scraps. I have one of these left over from this, and you can also just take your scraps if you have a big enough thing of scrap. I'm just going to use this, but yeah, you can just do that like that. I can make something out of that later if I wanted to, and then you've got more. So, but hopefully we've got enough to just string everything up. We'll see. If not, I'll just punch holes in the corners or something. But it's pretty straightforward though. Okay, so I punched out a whole bunch of these guys. I have about 4 extras just in case. I want to make sure that all 12 letters have 2 of these, so I made sure that there's at least 24 of these. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. So each of these rows has 2. So yeah, so each letter is going to get that. So I'm gonna just show you real quick. I might just put it right at the top of the letter when I'm doing this, because it'll be a little easier to string stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. Okay? It doesn't have to be super accurate or anything like that with each other, but I think it just helps a little bit aesthetically. Some of them are a little off, as you can see, but it's fine. So I'm just going to tape these guys. And then, as I said, I'm just going to line that up at the top so it's not too hard to do. Same thing with this side. I'm just going to line that up at the top. It's a little sticky there, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Okay, so I'm gonna do that with everything, and then I'm just gonna string stuff through. Okay, it's really hard to get all of this in, obviously in shot, but I got all these little tabs, I guess, on here with certain letters. I guess I could have done them a little straighter if I wanted to, just so you could see the letter a little bit. I just decided to glue it kind of like that. The P was a little bit weird. It looks a little off, but I did it the same way, and same with the R. I did them all the same way, sort of lined them up with each other. Some are a little bit nicer than others, depends. So that's that. Another thing you could do instead of gluing things down is you could probably get brads and have things swivel a little bit so that it might flow a little bit nicer when you're making a banner. Anyways, this is the first stage. I just wanted to show you guys that, and then I'm gonna get some sort of ribbon. I'll figure out which one I want to use. I found the punch pretty good, and I mean, it took me about maybe a couple hours to make this. I was doing things really slowly though, so it might take a little less time for you guys. It makes banners really easily, so you can personalize it if you want to. It's cool because you can use whatever paper you want, obviously, like this. You can use metallics, you can use hollows, fuzzy, flocked paper, or whatever you want there. Or you can use a cool pattern paper that specifically goes with your theme. So I think that's cool. I know how to make seamless patterns and I've done digital tutorials, and I'll link that down below for you guys if you want to check that out. Yeah, so you can make really cool patterns and then you can cut out the paper and do the punch thing too if you wanted to. So that's kind of another cool fun thing to make it even more custom if you wanted to do something like that. I just wanted to do something simple for you guys. Anyway, I'm gonna string that up next. Okay, so it's kind of storming a little bit outside. I'm doing this way in advance for New Year's, so you might hear some thunder. I don't know. It's a little rainy. I'm doing this right on Halloween, actually. So yeah, I was going to just string these up. It's funny because my husband thinks that these look kind of like bear ears. I kind of agree. It looks a little bear-like. But yeah, another thing you could do if you don't want to have these guys showing at all, you can have a brad so it could swivel a little bit on here. But if you don't want that at all, you can always turn it around, and you can probably put strips of paper behind here and then string things that way. Maybe a little strip of paper up here, and then you can just string things through that way. So there's a few different ways of doing this. I just decided to use my scraps because I figured might as well, why not, right? I didn't want things to go to waste entirely. So I just wanted to come on and talk about all the different types of things that you can use. So you can use ribbon. This might be a little harder to put through just because it's thicker. Obviously you can get thinner ribbon. This is more like a curling ribbon as far as I know. So yeah, you can definitely do that, and it's probably going to be easier to put something thinner through the holes. If it's stripped, it might be a little easier to put something like this through. You can always take a pokey tool and thread it through somehow that way, or you could take a chopstick, right, and just stick it through. And it might be kind of cool if there's a little bit of weight to the ribbon as well when it's coming through. You can also just do regular either string or twine. I like to use baker's twine because it has a pretty stripe through it a lot of the time, but yeah, you don't have to necessarily use that. I'm not a fan of this red and white for my specific decor, but you do you if you want to do something like that. I tend to go for more pink and white, but I only have so much of that particular baker's twine, so I'm not going to go there. Another thing you can do is get some yarn, and there's different thicknesses obviously. I think I'm just going to use this thicker stuff because I want it to have a little bit of weight to it, but yeah, you can do whatever you'd like. I just got a bunch of pink and I thought that was really fun, but I also think this is really fun and festive. This holographic yarn, right? I just got this at the dollar store. A lot of these things, not everything is from the dollar store, but yeah, a lot of the stuff is from the dollar store. I think this guy I got on Amazon, so everything else I think is pretty much from the dollar store. Yeah, so it wasn't really too expensive. I also like using yarns and ribbons. I don't knit, but I like to use yarns and ribbons to either embellish a gift, so you can add all sorts of texture with ribbons, yarn, and strings and all sorts of fun stuff, or say you've got some pom-pom trim or the zigzag trim, rickrack. If you get all sorts of different textures and just tie it around a present, it normally looks really cool. I find it's neat and festive if you do something like that. So I like to gather yarns for that specifically, but obviously you can use it for banners. You can use it for, even if you don't knit or crochet, you can use it for pom-poms, tassels. There's all sorts of cool reasons to have yarn in your stash. Even if you don't knit or crochet, I highly do recommend having yarn because sometimes it can really come in handy. So I'm going to just try to thread some stuff through here. So I'm going to take one of these yarn packs, and I just have another one just in case this goes a little bit awry. And I like the fact that this has a nice gradient effect with different whites and pinks and things. I think it's going to look pretty. It looks neater all wound up, but I think it's going to look really cool. And there's so many different ways of doing this. You can always make one long strand, say Happy New Year's, depending on your space. I'm going to just do the individual words and give them lots of slack so that I can tape things up around the corner of a shelf. I'm just going to go in front at first. And if you need some help, you can obviously, as I said, get a chopstick. You can get the pokey tool, but I find the pokey tool might break up the fibers a little bit more for some yarn, but there's that. I'm just starting with the last letter and then just working my way over. Oops, sorry, my bad. See, I just didn't even keep my own advice. Got to put it in front, and then you can space it out later if you want to. I'm not going to cut things until later. It really doesn't take long to do this. In case of letters like this, you're going to have some of the string showing, and hopefully that's not going to be a big deal for you. But yeah, that's going to be potentially a thing. I'm going to give this lots of slack just because I want to make sure that I can hang it on a shelf. You can measure out wherever your space is, how long you need, and then do it that way if you'd like. But I'm going to get some fabric scissors too. But yeah, I can space this out later once I put it on my shelf and sort of see how it looks. Okay, but I gave myself a lot of slack just in case, and I can cut it down to size later if I'd like. I'm just gonna snip this a little bit because yarn is fluffy. I'm probably not going to show you guys me putting it up, but I'll show you guys later the aftermath and what it looks like there. But yeah, this is going to take no time to do. Oopsies. This one's a little bit harder to adjust because it's so awkward. I mean, if you wanted to, you can always put this strip here just to keep things in place, but it's not necessary. It's gonna be kept in place. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut around here. It's a little tangled, but that's okay. I'll deal with that later. And then the last one, last word here is happy. I probably gave it way too much slack, but anyways, I'm just gonna give it a little bit more. Alright, so next you're gonna see this hanging. I'm probably just gonna tape it up. So I decided to put this on my shelf here. I like it. It's a very cluttered look right now just because I've got my normal stuff up. If you want to, you can remove some things and just have the banners being showcased, right? Or you can make it go with your stuff a little bit more. I just decided to go with a rainbow holographic look because everything I own is rainbowy. I figured that that would kind of work out, and there's a lot of pinks and mints and things going on in my displays, so I thought that that would work out. But yeah, so it was easy to tape up. I just taped it with cello tape and then just cut off the ends. What you could do is potentially, if you want to, add a little flair here at the ends. You can put balloons or bows and ribbon. Could be bows that you tied with the leftover yarn if you had to cut off some stuff, or you could do some really dramatic ribbon bows. That would be kind of cool. You can do rosettes. There's so many cool things you can add to the ends. I'm sure you guys have some other ideas that I haven't even thought of. Something that just crossed my mind right now is you might want to put, you know, those little noisemakers that have kind of tassels? You might want to put those at the end. That might be kind of cute and fun, or just some sort of tinsel or tassel or something. But yeah, there's so many things you can do. You can weave ribbon or other things along in here. Anyways, lots you can do. I just have my all year stuff up, and then I'm getting ready for Valentine's Day, right? So yeah, that's something you guys can do for sure. It didn't really take too long to put this up. The nice thing is you can sort of zhuzh the letters and spread them out a little bit more if you want to. So you can zhuzh that a little further apart. That works out a little bit nicer, I think. But yeah, it doesn't have to be on a shelf. You could always do this in a doorway if you've got a long doorway. I've also seen people have bars set up on their tables. I think you can get stuff at IKEA, but there's bars that can go right above your table if you want to hang some garlands and banners and things there too, which is really cool. I think that's kind of a neat idea. So I don't know how expensive they are, to be perfectly honest, but you can always just look around. IKEA tends to be cheaper than other things, or you can look around online and see if there's any better deals. I'll see if I can find that specific thing that I'm talking about, and I'll see if I can link that down below, just in case you guys are interested in something like that, in case you don't have shelving or you don't have a great place to hang stuff in a doorway or something like that. But anyways, I think that this is nice because it's got the 3 shelves. Unfortunately, the shelving is a little bit spaced out weirdly. I did that by design, but it doesn't look symmetrical, I guess, for something like this, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. I feel like it looks a little more interesting. Yeah, that's pretty much it though. That's the project. The punch works out. I really, really like it. And yeah, I think I'm probably going to use that for other things like birthday stuff. You can use it for Christmas stuff in the future. It's nice that you can potentially personalize it and put somebody's name on, say, like a birthday banner or something like that. Yeah, you could do pretty much anything with that. I just wanted to show you guys that, and I think that's pretty much it. So anyways, I hope you guys all have an amazing New Year. Do you guys have a New Year movie that you guys watch every year at all? I tend to watch with my husband When Harry Met Sally every year for New Year, just because there's a lot of New Year's references in that movie. If you're gonna watch a show, I feel like there's a really good The OC episode, if you guys like The OC. It really depends. If you like kind of romantic comedy stuff, that's basically what I'm more into. I like comedies and romantic comedies. That's kind of what I watch. But yeah, you do you. What are your favorite movies to watch? Do you watch a movie every year, or do you just go out and party or throw a party? Let me know in the comments below what you guys like to do for New Year's. I always like to hear about people's traditions and stuff like that, so drop me a line. I'm gonna have another video, I think, coming out talking about how my year went and what my next year is hopefully going to be coming up. I look forward to hopefully another year filled with lots of DIYs and fun crafty stuff. So take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye! Happy New Year!